I would get into some of the business we've done together as Netskope and CR&T. I found that it's especially powerful with certain banking clients that we've worked together on, as well as other organizations that work with other larger organizations which have to comply to those requirements. I see the need for this type of technology is necessary. It used to be something that it really wasn't the domain of these lower tier corporations and businesses under 3,000. Now it's required.
Yeah. Yeah, touching on your point earlier about the leaner organizations, the SMB, and even the large enterprises that just are lacking with security staff. Also, what we find is that they have vendor and console fatigue. So there's just so many applications, so many windows that they have to go into. So one of the things that we like to really focus on too is, first of all, we are a single pane of glass. And I know a lot of people use that expression, and we don't like it all that much, but it is true. We have a single console that you can facilitate anything within the solution. If you're using a client on a machine that's remote, that single client is going to do the inline CASB, the inline secure web gateway, our private access. There's no multiple components that have to be installed. And then the other things is two things in particular: tool consolidation and tool integration. So what we've done with the build out, we started life as a CASB, where we've morphed into this larger cloud security platform where we've got our CASB, we've got our secure web gateway, the marriage of the two, we've got our private access, we've got public cloud security for your AWS, GCP, Azure environments. So we've morphed into this larger platform. So what we're able to do is, instead of having multiple point products to do these different things, we can consolidate those tools. Now we're back down to that single console that's managing these different facets. And then from an integration standpoint, we work very closely with a lot of the best in breed security companies out there in the EDR space, in the SIEM and SOAR space, SD-WAN providers, so that we can directly partner with them, so that when somebody implements Netskope into their environment, it's not just a standalone point product that's doing what it's supposed to do. We're going to integrate with that endpoint detection software.
This is great. When you're talking about integration with third-party platforms, can I just throw some at you and tell me if you have that relation? Yeah. Let's say EDR platforms like the top three: SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, Carbon Black.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all three.
All three. Mm-hmm.
Wow. When we talk about MFA, SSO, let's say Okta, Duo,
Ping. Yep, absolutely.
And Ping as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much any SSO that's SAML we'll be able to integrate with.
Well, this is curious. I know what Netskope is, but I think the audience would be interested at least to understand what's the way, if you're ingesting off of these third-party components and platforms, how is that not a SIEM, for example? Are you able to go in and query certain activities from these particular plugins? So
what we're doing is, when we integrate with SIEMs and SOARs, because we're not storing the data that has been accrued via the EDR solution. Mm-hmm. The SIEM tool will do that. What we're doing with an EDR solution is, if on an endpoint they detect that there's a piece of malware, something brand new, they give it a SHA-256, give it a hash, then that will get shared with Netskope. What we'll do at that point then is look for that file now moving in and out on any of the other devices, and then also go into the repositories, the sanctioned repositories, and look for data at rest, to scan it to see if that file exists somewhere else. Right. Malware actors want to get their files into places like Box and G Drive, right, because when you've got a shared environment, you've got a wider surface of attack, because instead of having the possibility of one person clicking that file, you've got 500 or 5,000. Right. It makes it a lot more viable. So we'll be able to scan that. Conversely, if we detect something, because someone pulls down something from a site, and then we see that it's malware, we will then share that information with the EDR, which then will then go look on the particular endpoints. And then to your point about the SIEM, we're going to aggregate those logs, send it all down to the SIEM, and then if organizations are using, which we're finding, moving more towards orchestration tools, what they'll be able to do is, via the integrations that we have with them, if there's an indication of compromise from a different sensor that hits that SOAR tool, the SOAR can then run a playbook and then communicate with Netscope to say, okay, we know that this machine is compromised because of this, so move this user into this group or enforce this set of policies that are more restrictive as a result of that. So it's being able to automate those processes and make sure that each tool is making the other one sharper in the security stack.
Giving that granular punch to it, providing greater detail.
Right.
And
justifying the spend. You're spending money on security products. If they can work together and bolster each other, then that just makes the investment that much more sound for each individual piece.
And for those who need to clarify, SOAR being an automated response mechanism or tool set like FortiSOAR or Swimlane or whatnot, they all perform those automated responses. That's really interesting. That is really interesting. Well, thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again.